Right. Good afternoon. Let's commence the second subject lectures now. The subject is international trade in English medium. Let me introduce your resource person. This is Mr. Bernard Veerasinghe. So was the head of trade in Cargill's Bank, as well as about to join the Cargill's Bank. So was in National Bank as the head of trade, and so is also AIB holder. Conducted the lectures of the National Banks of Sri Lanka particular subject 5 or 6 years ago, and continuously says the lecturer. So it's a good lecturer attached to our faculty, and definitely he will guide you for the September examination. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Bernard accepting our invitation and come today. Would like to invite you, sir, come to the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, good afternoon, everybody. And I shall introduce what international trade is. And I have sent 3 handouts. Just go through. Right. Now, to understand what international trade, let us see what domestic trade is. What domestic trade is compared to international trade. Might take a little time to make a pairing towards international trade, but we try to understand what domestic trade is. Now, domestic trade could be subdivided into 2 segments, that is the wholesale and retail. That you all know. But I'm referring to the back end of the domestic trade, not the mechanism of the domestic trade, but the back end of the domestic trade. Now, say a person who has some purchasing power goes to a shop. So the most ingredient thing that I mentioned was the purchasing power that the person possesses. And visits a shop, say, to buy a good, we'll say a wallet. Before going to the shop, he will have few things in his mind rather, as a predetermining factor. Perhaps the price that he wishes to spend it on the wallet, durability. It could be a wallet, purse, or a handbag, right? Brand. What else you could think of? If you go to shop, what could be a desire? Other than the price, durability, and the brand, what else that you could think of? I, of course, go for the price.
Design, quality.
Design, quality. That goes hand in hand with the brand house as well, right? And the durability. As you say, the nice thing, the design. If it is especially a ladies' wear, rather a handbag. So, you visit this particular shop, and all the desires that you had, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, will fulfill by the shopkeeper. Now, when the vendor offers the wallet or the handbag or the purse, which has been already fitted on to your desires, my question to you is, or to everybody here, Is there a least possibility for you to deny by the wallet without giving an explanation to the vendor? Can or cannot? You must have experienced this, right? Can you deny? Now, you have the speed shaping factor, that is only you know that. What are the things that you wanted to see before? Why this is not a very good appropriate example that to be, if it's there, the clothing, of course, we go for the fit on house as well. After having fulfilled every desire that you had before going to the shop or after looking at it, can you deny buying them? Can you tell the shopkeeper without a reason why you are dumping them and going to the next shop? Or if I put it this way, can you just vendor ask you why you are leaving? Because your water price is reasonable, durability goes with the brand and the quality was as well, and design is perfect. But still, why you want to dump and go? Can he ask that? If he asks you, well, are you all to reply to him? No. You go to the next shop. You do the same thing, right? My toughest question is, after visiting about 5 or 6 shops, can you come to the first shop again, which you have denied just a couple of hours ago, and buy the same thing what you denied before? Can or cannot? Can. Right. Then my final question is, when I say you, I, the humans of people, what is the right of entitlement so far that I have exercised to visit shops and deny and offend the shopkeeper perhaps and to come again like a round bobbing, and maybe deny further and go to the next shop and then buy? What is the right that I was just exercising? Yes? I'm trying to give in a value on the term, but it's a very, very layman term that we use very commonly. What is that right? What is that right? Every human being has that from his infants. What is the right?
Negotiability.
Yes? Yeah, what is that? Somebody else is right?
Negotiability. Negotiability, sir.
Can't you properly?
Negotiability.
Negotiability is a bit of a high word. It's a bit of a high-pitched word. I'm not into negotiability yet. It's just a very, very small, what you call a colloquial vocabulary.
Bargaining power.
Yeah, you're pitching slightly high again. Bargaining power is the thing that the correct answer would be academically. But what is the right the entitlement that you just exercise? Going to a shop, keeping on going to shop. The lady could answer properly this. Demand. No, demand being met. Okay. Demand is already met. But somebody said about the bargaining power. Okay, assist him to see. Bargaining power is the right answer. But that is not the expected answer from me, because bargaining itself again is a bit of a advanced level word, right? Right. This is just a small word. Even an infant will have this right. What is that?
Selection. Selection.
Yeah, you are. Come again.
Selection.
Selection. What is the noun of that?
Power of selection.
Okay. Give us another name of that. Yes? Now? Choice. It's a selection actually. Right? It's a selection. And it's the choice that you are exercising. Only the human beings has. Even the infant has that. Right? So that is the right of choice that you have just exercised, which is being embraced in a very high dignity in our institution. Right? Right. And once again, I need to tell you, especially the people who are in online, thank you so much for the little bit of a interaction that you are doing with me, that keeps up with me and rather motivates me. So my next question is a bit tougher, right? When the choice is taken away from you, now you have all the right of choice. That's why you have gone to this particular shop. That's why you have rejected, and that's why you came back and bought it again, or postponed to another day to buy some kind of a thing, or completely ignoring the fact that buying a wallet, instead you buy something else, a pair of shoes. When the choice being taken away from a particular merchandise that you have, then what does it come behind you like a ghost? Now that is a difficult question, but you have put in this way, you might understand. Say, I'm going to get down a vehicle. This could be a guy question anyway. I'm going to get down a vehicle from abroad, from an auction, say. I wanted a particular brand of a vehicle, say Toyota, 1500cc Aqua. I want to get down this vehicle, right? Color white. And 0 mileage. Right? So, I have made an advance. I have not seen the vehicle yet. I don't have the choice of fitting on like this. Right? And open the doors and see the freshness of the stiffness, I will not have. Right? I'm just based on the images that I'm getting on the 3D dimension, pictures from the visual, and I'm deciding to buy this particular vehicle. Maybe I can, pinpoint the vehicle after checking the chassis number. Right. But I will not see the dents, tiny dents or bruises or some kind of a mishaps, I will not see. Since I've selected a white, I will not have an issue on the color, but if it's a metric color, I might have a little bit, right? Have a little bit of distortion over the natural color, over the visual. Now, they said that the money being paid, the amount of the vehicle is, will assume is 4.5 million Japanese yen. I have made an advance of 5 lakhs, 500,000, whereas 4 million to be paid after receipt of the vehicle. Now we notified that the vehicle be landed on in Hambantota. Until such time, from the date that I paid that 500,000, I had what? I had sleepless nights. Because I did not know whether the exact vehicle that I had in mind, whether I will receive. After receiving at Hambantota, there will be another carriage, post carriage to my doorstep. Right? It could have a handling issue and damage the vehicle also as well. So I have a little bit of a fear factor, right? Because the choice been taken away now. Because if I buy a vehicle from Sri Lanka, from a yard in here, I can have a test run. I can take a mechanic and show, right? I will see the natural fragrance of the freshness of the car, if it is new. I can see the tire situation. Everything I could be seen. I can touch the body and see whether there are any bruises or any kind of dents or stubborn edges. Everything be taken off from me. When everything be taken off, then I am facing some fear factor. What is that fear factor for? This is the one being tantamount to have sleepless nights to me. Right? What is the fear factor for? You can think of one word, a technical term towards banking. Anybody from online?
Trust and reliability.
So what is it? Guarantee. No. When the choice being taken away, I told you the choice being taken away. Right? Then I have a little bit of fear factors now. I don't know whether I can see the odometer, of course, whether it's 0. But I don't know whether it's white or brilliant white or off white, or I do not know.
Risk?
I know brilliant white. Yes.
Is it risk?
Risk. There you are. Come again. Come again.
Is it risk?
Risk. Yes, yes. Very right. It's nothing but risk. So when the choice being taken away, like a ghost comes behind you, the risk. Right? When the risk is there, don't worry more for the question. When the risk is there, we need to attack risks to mitigate risk. Right? So how do I mitigate risk now? I can take an inspection certificate. I can get an odometer certificate from an independent competent authority whom I nominate. Right? I can get a JIC report, it's accredited Bureau Veritas agency, and see the condition of the vehicle. There are many things that I could check in the vehicle and get some certifications, meaning I can get documents. Right? That doesn't mean I'm going to eliminate the risk, but I can mitigate risk. Mitigate risk. Now you understand the complexity with present trade, with domestic trade. Right? Domestic trade is simpler because you will have the choice. Any dispute you can amicably set off. If the shoe is not fitting on properly, you can return the shoe and buy another pair of shoes. If you think that this shoe could be a factor that you will have a little bruise on the back of the sole, still you have a choice of changing. But international trade, you have risk being by default is being incorporated at the first outset itself. And you have attacked the risk by getting certain documents, not to eliminate risk, you can't eliminate, but to mitigate. So that is why international trade you associate with documents more than the risk. When the documents are intact, you know at least to 75%, meaning 25% is there still. At least for 75%, I might get the Toyota vehicle that I wanted. Right? So, international trade deals with goods. When I say goods means it's services and performances and documents. Now, this element of document won't come into the domestic trade. Right? It's only the portion of goods parted with by the seller to the buyer. Right? So this is the main thing that you need to know as a difference between international trade and domestic trade. I hope that you understood that. Now we go in detail. What are the actual differences and the similarities between two types of trade? Right. Domestic trade and international trade. Now, when you take the trade term, of course, it's common. Trade means exchange of goods for the means of conveyance or medium of exchange. Changing of medium of exchange. Medium of exchange means the money. You are changing goods for medium of exchange. Right? But when it comes to domestic trade, it's completely different from the international trade. Right. If there's any documentation in domestic trade, how do you find? If there's, it's very simple. And international trade documentation part is very complex. And when you are doing transactive businesses in trade domestically, the parties concerned made the buyer and seller domicile interest in one country, meaning they are governed by the same entity of law, right? So you have the similar legal entity for buyer and seller. But when you're dealing with the sellers and buyers in international trade, overseas abroad, you find different laws coming into play. Right? So it's extremely difficult to channel a dispute or address a dispute. So you get legal barriers. You get legal barriers. And the next one you just take just here, but don't try to elaborate now itself, you might not understand. In domestic trade, you deal with the same currency. Right? You call the legacy currency of that particular country. If you are dealing domestic trade in Sri Lanka, while the seller will be settled in LKR. Right? So it's the same currency. But in international trade, you find a foreign currency. So when you deal with foreign currency, that is meant for conversion from LKR to foreign currency. Right? So this meant to convert LKR into foreign currency. When you convert from one currency to another currency, then you get a thing called forex exposures. Forex exposure. Forex means foreign exchange exposures. Exposure means having the tendency of incurring a loss in the future. Having a tendency of incurring a loss in the future. Exposure. Right. I pay a customer account. When he has the balance of 100,000, he tendered. This is the balance. He tendered a check for 105,000. I owed you and paid the customer. Right? So my exposure is 100%. 5,000 exceeded. Right? So there could be a tendency that customer might not put money, balance 5,000. Right? So there's an exposure. Right? Very transparent exposure. These are hidden exposures. There are three exposures actually. Transaction exposure, translation exposure, and the economic exposure that you will be studying when I'm touching after a couple of sessions in Forex. Right? For the time being, remember, you expose for exchange risk. But that kind of thing doesn't not you don't find in domestic trade. Right? No exposure. No forex exposure. And if there's a dispute between the buyer and the seller, dispute by the buyer and the seller means, I need to elaborate a little bit. Buyer and seller just cannot deal on a transaction on an opposite trade for an ongoing transaction. If the seller says, I will supply continuously, monthly, or once in 2 months, if the buyer agrees to pay accordingly, there should be an agreement between the buyer and the seller. That is called the sales agreement or the contract of sale. So, if I breach that agreement, one of the conditions of the agreement, that is as good as that I have breached the contract of sale. So, therefore, the injured party can seek legal redress. Right? So, we go to courts and go for a litigation. Litigation means the legal process. Legal process. Legal process. But if there's a dispute between the buyer and the seller in two different countries, right? Having a legal process will take time consuming, and also different sets of laws will come into play. And then the question arises, where to prosecute, in which country to be prosecuted. So therefore, legal process will not be, it's a legal process all right, but in the court of law, going for a litigation is bit cumbersome in case of international trade. So therefore, in this type of what you call these disputes to sort out, there's a thing called the court of arbitration. It's an international, right? Court of arbitration. Court of arbitration. I'll give a little bit of a hint on that. Court of arbitration. Here, when there's a dispute, the injured party to a claim go to the court and make a prosecution against the other party. And if the process goes against the other party, defendant, still he can appeal. Right? He can appeal against the judgment that he got. Likewise, the legal process will go. But in international trade, you can't afford to do that because one person suffers. Right? Who the person? Goods. Especially if the goods we are talking of is time sensitive or temperature sensitive. Then going for a legal process will perish the goods. So therefore, we need a quick sort out. So court of arbitration, and also one more thing, in case of litigation, this buyer and the seller will not have a right to choose who the judge is. They will go to court. But in the case of court of arbitration, they can mutually agree who the judge would be, in which country this will take place. Right? It's a mutual understanding. And the court will decide then and there, after listening to the both parties, what you call submissions, the verdict. That verdict cannot be contested, meaning cannot appeal. Right? So this is not a proper legal process, but it's a court of arbitration. So court of arbitration is not a building, or you can pinpoint this is the court of arbitration. Anybody can arrange anywhere. A learned person will judge. Right? A learned person in trade, a commercial lawyer perhaps, will judge and give the verdict. That will be abided by the both parties. Right? So this type of thing will not come in domestic trade. Right? So likewise, I have given few. In the handout also I have given some more. You have to Google search and find out what are the differences, what you call the prompt differences between domestic trade and international trade. When I say Google search, here and there I will give what to search in the Google and what not to. There are certain things that you should not search in Google because some concepts of international trade governed only by the government authorities of local government authorities of Sri Lanka. So when you Google search what happens, you get an overview thing, which not be the correct what you call the knowledge that you're going to absorb. Right? So if I give an example, I can tell you what an open account is. Right? That is the model of Sri Lanka. But if you Google search what is open account trading, it will give the universal outcome of it. So I never advise the students to Google search and study what open account is. But you will study what domestic trade and international trade referring to the differences. Right? So that's how you fine tune your handout. Right. Right. Now in trade, we have two advantages that we see. absolute advantage and the comparative advantage, right? This was introduced by different eras by different people. Absolute advantage by Adam Smith and David Ricardo. The comparative advantage. We look at it in a nutshell, but comprehensively I have given you the handout. Please read the handout very carefully. It's a bit complex and try to understand what the comparative theory is. Now, so I have chosen two countries, UK and China, Canada. UK and Canada. And I have taken two commodities, wheat and cars. Wheat and cars. Wheat hours to produce 1 ton. Wheat hours to produce 1 ton. Then cars hours to produce one car. Right? UK and Canada respectively, how much UK takes to produce wheat? 1 ton per hour. Right? No, rather, how many hours for a ton? Likewise, how many cars, how much of time we taken to produce a car for these two countries. So UK I have listed 300 hours, and Canada only 200 hours. That is wheat. Conversely, the UK takes 150 hours only to produce a car, whereas Canada takes 250 hours. Right? UK takes 300 hours to produce 1 ton of wheat, and Canada takes only 200 hours. And UK consumes under 50 hours to produce 1 car, and Canada only 200 hours. Right. Look at this. You might see UK has an absolute advantage. Cars over wheat. Vice versa. Canada has an absolute advantage on wheat over cars compared to UK. Right? Now, how do they trade? So Adam Smith suggests to one country, okay, if you see there's a disadvantage on a particular commodity, you stop producing them and pump the number of hours that you are wasting for that to produce the commodity that you are exiting. Okay, we'll take one country. UK, very weak one producing wheat because it takes 300 hours. So they stop 300 hours and pump into more produce cars. So when you put 300 hours here, altogether they have 450 hours. Right? So that means they can have 3 cars. Then after that, they will trade that. They will send 1 car, or they will import 1 wheat, and for that they have 1 car. So they have 1 wheat of ton and 2 cars. Right? Likewise, do the exercise for the Canada also. I have given the explanation. If you get stuck, go to the explanation and see. Right? I will read the latter part of it. Thus, 450 hours of labor. Now, when the 300 hours being given, wheat hours being given to produce cars, then they have already 450 hours. So this will come here, 450 hours. So they are take it off there. So you have to do the same exercise for Canada as well. Give these 250 hours to 200. So they will have 450 hours of feed. Let's see how much of tons that they can make. Wheat, right? Now here they can get figures, right? So thus 450 hours after trading shown, leave Canada with one car, because they are exporting one car to them, right? And 1.25 tons of wheat. 1.25 tons of wheat. When you come here, they will have to give one wheat there. Then net figure will be 1.125. Right? So conversely, the UK will obtain a ton of wheat from Canada and will then use 300 hours to save 22 cars, thus obtaining a net benefit of one car. So absolute advantage based on the labor, with considering all other factors are constant, is based on the labor input. It's labor hours actually. Right. Now look at the other thing. Other case is slightly complex. Wheat hours to produce 1 ton, UK, 400 hours, Canada, 200 hours, then United Kingdom consumes 375 hours to produce 1 car. Canada consumes 300 hours only. Now in this grid we see Canada has the absolute advantage for both commodities, even for wheat and for cars, right, over UK. Because while UK takes 375 hours more than cars hours, Canada takes only 300, and double of the hours UK consumes to produce 1 ton of wheat. In both cases, Canada will have the absolute advantage. Now we'll try to do the trading. Right. If the UK uses 400 hours to produce cars, if the UK uses 400 hours to produce cars, then the 400 goes here. Right? Instead of wheat. Instead of wheat, the 400 has gone here. Right? This has gone here. Right. It will produce how much of cars now? 400 divided by 375. Understand? Because to produce 1 car takes 375 hours. Right? So 375 hours, you can produce 1 car in another way. But you have 400 hours. Right? When you have 400 hours, how much of cars you can produce? The quotient of 400 divided by 375. That will be around, this is more than 1. Right? Right. That means Canada has a comparative advantage in wheat production. Comparative advantage wheat production. When the 300 hours goes here, they have a comparative advantage. Right. So likewise, you try to trade. You have to do an exercise on your own and see at the end what's the position of the Canadian guy and the United Kingdom guy. Then we will see even though the Canada has the absolute advantage for both commodities, they will have a win-win situation. Right? This is based on comparative advantage. It's not the absolute advantage, comparative advantage. If that's the case, these hours are not meant by labor hours, it has to be obviously on opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. So you have to give a little bit of a thought and read the handout properly. And grasp it nicely, the mechanism of the comparative advantage. If you have been questioned, you'll be questioned based on the comparative advantage. When a country has a comparative advantage over another country, that on a particular commodity, obviously, then that country should but export. Right? When the country has a comparative disadvantage over another country, that country has to import that product. Right? Now you can measure where Sri Lanka falls in. We are the importing country. So in almost in all commodities, we have a disadvantage of a comparative advantage. Disadvantage of a comparative advantage. Right. But the issue is, or whether when we import goods, are we importing goods where we have the comparative advantage also? That's a different thing to discuss. Right? That is not true. So what is the thrust of the thing that I said? When a country has a comparative disadvantage on a particular commodity, that commodity has to be imported. So if you learn and understand the one side, you can ask the other side. Right. So these type of questions will be tested mainly on the short paper or the MCQ paper. Right. I know in the first outset, fair trade is not a very smooth subject to understand. It's a bit difficult, especially the terminology. Right. Negotiable instruments. Negotiable instrument. Now you may have studied in the lower grades or in the intermediate level what a negotiable instrument is, right? So I'm not going to discuss those things, but I will take the elements of necessity, what the trade is attached to. But before that, we have to refresh our knowledge on negotiability for the negotiable instrument. Negotiable is a literal word or English word, that is all right. Negotiable is an English word. What we understand by negotiable, negotiable in English, literally, is you try to negotiate when one party does not have the edge over the other party. You try to negotiate. You try to bargain yourself. Right? Now, it applies to a normal mobile vendor also. When I go to a vendor, a current vendor, and if I try to buy a fruit, right? I'm not going to show my purchasing power to the vendor. Instead, I will bargain. Bargain is not an aggressive thing. I have bargain. Right? So when another person sees that I'm talking with lady for a bargain, then that person will tell the other person next to him, see, Bernard is trying to negotiate the price. Right? So that is the kind of negotiation that we have in mind. So if you can have a better understanding if you refer to a better dictionary. But that is not the literal meaning you finally trade. Now, this is one of the main reasons the trade has become a bit difficult. Because one thing is, alien words you come to know first time when you do trade. Second one, what is known to you best, which will customarily be used by you. Example, choice. Right? It is a highly technical term for trade. Right? But you have abused this word all the time. Right? Trust, mistrust, breach of trust. So like that, negotiable. It's another word. Right. Negotiable instrument means mere delivery. Mere delivery. Oh, right. What is mere delivery? You have a check, uncrossed check. Check is written like this. Signed by the drawer or the person who possesses the check, issuer, and the payee in a check could be fictitious, non-existent, or a legit person. Why did I say fictitious? Payee could be cash also. There's no person called cash. So that means it's a non-existent payee. But the check could be written like that. Right? So it's drawn on the bank all right. So pay cash and the check being given to Bernard. Bernard can go to the particular bank being jotted here and cash it over the counter. Cash it over the counter. So how the drawer has given Bernard the check? By mere delivery. I have done some services to him, or he will be giving a gift for me, or whatever it is. He has just delivered the check. Mere delivery. Or he might give the check like this. Bernard real signal. And here you would have seen on the somewhere in top right hand corner, you have two words here, order bearer. Right? So if I stop off the bearer part, it becomes the order check. But Bernard using holds the check, is the holder for value. He goes to the counter and tries to get in cash. Right? Then the cashier of the bank will ask, who the payee? I am the payee. Okay. Okay, sir, we will give the cash, but you endorse on the reverse of the check, the way the name may be. So I have this particular check requires an endorsement. Endorsement. No sooner that I endorse, this becomes the bearer check. Right. So we put this into the here. It's mere delivery or endorsement plus delivery. That's the negotiable instrument. It just says I can define what negotiable instrument is. This is the mechanism of the negotiable instrument. Either you deliver by just mere delivery or just delivery or endorsement plus delivery. Endorsement plus delivery. Endorsement plus delivery. Right. Now, check. I said something about a check now. Check is a how a financial, this is a financial instrument, how a financial instrument become a check, because there are plenty of financial instruments. Check is one of the kind. How a financial instrument becomes a check. There are three qualifications to be fulfilled simultaneously to make the financial instrument to a check. Right? Can you guess one? You have seen the check?
Yeah.
You have seen the check. What do you see in the check? At a distance? For distance, you can read the amount. Right. If I hold the check like this for your distance, that's about 5 meters from here. What do you see in a check? Now, if I show a check, what's the first thing that you see at a glance or at a distance? Bank's name. The bank's name. Meaning it has to be drawn on the bank. Right. It's drawn on the bank. It's a must. Right? You will see Commercial Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, Bank of Ceylon, at National Bank, on bold top in a higher font letter, characters they printed on top of the check. Right? Meaning it is a must that it should be drawn on the bank. Right. Actually, this is the second point. Check is also a bill of exchange. Bill of exchange. Check also a bill of exchange. I will let you know what a bill of exchange is. And it's very drawn on the bank. What is the third qualification possibly? Yes, anybody from the online?
It's an order.
Yeah, it could be either order or behalf. No. Okay, I will give you a little bit of clue. And thank you once again for coming in. If I go to the bank, to the post of business hours and give a check, can the sweet lady just behind the board of the particular bank tell me, I am not fit enough to pay the check. Can you please come after 2 hours time or after today's day's work? Can he or she tells me that? Can or cannot? Can tell. So if I go to the bank, she might tell that I'll go over and pay. Can? Can't. Then what is it? Should be
Demand.
payable.
Okay.
Payable on demand. There you are. Payable on demand. You all have to crack your brains, right? That is from the first class itself. You need to crack your brains and study. This is not a cakewalk subject, right? Right. Payable on demand. And it has to be payable on express demand. That is why you have to write a check. Express means in writing. Not an implied demand, but express demand. So you have to buy hard these three. It's a bill of exchange, payable on demand, and drawn on a bank. Right? It's a bill of exchange. Check is a bill of exchange. Bill of exchange means it means it's subjected to bill of exchange ordinance of 1882. Right? It's a bill of exchange. It has to be payable on demand and drawn on a bank. You cannot draw a check to an individual company. It has to be a bank. That is why if I possess a Sampath Bank check, I can't go to Nation Trust and get it in cash unless I put to an account. Right. Now, since there's a what you call unused word, uncommon word that we have used, a bill of exchange, so we need to define what a bill of exchange is. Right, I'll put it point form. Right. Bill of exchange, I'm referring to the ordinance of 1882. Again, you can Google search this. It's a universal thing. Bill of exchange ordinance of 1882. In Sri Lanka, the check act came in 1957. 1957, but the checks mainly broadly governed by the Bill of Exchange ordinance. So check is a bill of exchange, but bill of exchange is not a check, not vice versa. The check is a bill of exchange, but bill of exchange is not a check. Then that means that we have to see what a bill of exchange is, right? Bill of exchange is an unconditional order. Unconditional order. It's an unconditional order. In writing. In writing. Writing includes printing also as well. In writing. addressed by one person to another. Addressed, verb, addressed by one person to another. Signed by the person who gives you. Signed by the person who gives it. Signed by the person who gives it. Amount certain in money. Amount certain in money. Right? Here the word certain comes because of certainty, meaning you cannot write checks or bill of exchanges mathematically. Meaning you cannot say 10,000, about 10,000, approximately 10,000. Or single expressions cannot be written. You have to be very specific, precise. Amount has to be certain. Maybe the reason, now this ordinance has come in the 19th century, maybe the reason that lots of people coming from the old school are write checks even now. Say if you take an amount, 125,000, 102 since 97, and they finish the amount with a suffix only. Right? If the word only is not there, bank is not taught to return. But that's customary, the only word comes. That may have come to denote the certainty of the coming from the bill of exchange only. Right. Amount certain in money, payable on demand, payable on demand. If you are taking to a notepad, then you can hyperlink this. Payable on demand, we talk about the demand in here also in the check. Right now you see the references. Here is only on demand, but here not only on demand. Payable on demand, fixed. So you have a hyperlink here, but we will have a symbol on the hyperlink. You say, right? Payable on demand, fixed or future determinable time. Bill of exchange could be written either payable on demand. If you write payable on demand, that's the check. But bill of exchange, unlike a check, can write for a postponed date also as well. It could be a fixed future date. If today is, what is the date of today? 12th. Huh? 23rd. I can write a check today, payable on 23rd of May. Not a check, but a bill of exchange I can write. It's a fixed date. Or I can say 90 days from 23rd, or 90 days for the draft date. Right? That is, future time will be determinable from the instrument itself. So it could be payable on demand, fixed, or future determinable time. Future determinable time. To bearer, order, or to a specified person. Or specified person. So this, you have to know this in point form, and remember on the first day itself, when you are structuring an answer, learn or prove yourself to write an answer not in thesis or paragraph manner, but in point form. It's very easy for the paper marker to give marks. Right? For example, if they ask what a bill of exchange is, and if they are allocated about 6 marks, that means they expect you to write at least 6 points. So if you evaluate everything and put it, that's a bit of a strain for the paper marker to find out what are the 6 points that we have talked about. So write, learn writing point form. Remember from the first stage here, don't write paragraphs or theses, writing point form. Right? Examiner will not penalize you for tenses or presentation or grammatical mistakes or spelling mistakes. So that's a little bit of an advantage compared to other exams, academic. This is also an exam, so they are testing the knowledge of yours. But the only thing you can, accuse the language by not using the proper proposition, but even the what you call the propositions are not being checked. You are asked by the directors not to check the propositions also as well. Right? So therefore, you can say, I go to school. I will not expect you to write, I go to school. Right? What is important for me, who is going and where are you going? Right? So, I'll tell again, it's an unconditional law in writing. That includes printing notes as well. Addressed by one person or another, signed by the person who is giving it. Amount certain in money, payable on demand, fixed and future determined time, not an or future determined time, to bear order or to a specific person thereof. So that's the definition of the bill of exchange, right? As study, many instances, these bill of exchange questions have had come in the MCQ. Right. If the bill of exchange says, on the face of the bill of exchange says, pay a sum of, so this scenario 1, pay a sum of sterling pounds 1,500, pay a sum of 1,500 to Citibank, London, on fulfillment of the performance guarantee number given in parentheses A-123 stroke 2. Pay a sum of 1,500 sterling pounds to Citibank, London, on fulfillment of the performance guarantee number 81232. The bill of exchange is being dated. There's a pay, and then there's a drawer as signed, and there's a drawing also as well. And here is ABC and Company, Sri Lanka. My question is, can you accept the bill of exchange? Reason?
No.
Yes.
No.
Cannot accept. Right. Do you have an answer for that?
Because
He says
it is conditional.
it is conditional. Very right, son. It's conditional. What is the condition? There's something alien feature has come to the bill of exchange. It's an alien to the bill of exchange. So nobody is going to peruse some other document to satisfy the bill of exchange requirement because it's a financial instrument. The performance guarantee may be exist. I'm not talking about the genuinity of that because I have given a number. It's been executed. Performance guarantee is there for perusal, but you can't put that into bill of exchange. No sooner that you put that, it becomes conditional. So very right to say, or noted perhaps. It's a conditional order. But the bill of exchange is an unconditional order. Right? So these are the twisted questions that you might face. Not very difficult ones. Right? So, but What I don't want to, what I don't want you to compromise is, don't just leave out and use common sense when you try to do the trade fair. You have to study. Most instances for trade, common sense doesn't apply. When you are here in the online perhaps, and including you are bankers now. Bankers, the most contribute to common sense. Unfortunately, that sense cannot be used for trade. It's slightly academic. Right. Right. That's an example that I took it with regard to bill of exchange on the unconditional order. Right. Now coming back to the check again. There are two parties only to a check. Two parties only to a check. Drawer and the payee. Right? There is a drawee also, but the drawee is not being stated in there. This is drawn on the bank all the time. No? So by default, it's a banker. Actually, there are only two parties. Drawer, the person who signs the check or issues the check. So, person who holds the checks, the holder for value, signs the check as the capacity of the drawer. And to whom the payment should be intended to pay is called the payee. In a check, the payee could be fictitious, existent, or non-existent. Right? Right. As opposed to check, bill of exchange has three parties. Drawer, that is the person who signs it. Right? Mainly the seller is the seller or the exporter. Right? Seller being termed in different by different names, depending on the method of payment that you are in. Actually, it's the seller, right? But he signs as the capacity to draw. And there's another party called drawee. Drawee. If the spelling is right, it's D-R-A-W-E-E-L-E. Right? Drawee, normally, name and the address of the drawee is stated in the bill of exchange on the bottom left-hand corner. That is the bill of exchange. Here it says in the bold letters bill of exchange. You get the amount here, starting pound 1, is being dated. And you will have the payee here. And you get the drawer here, signed. And you get the drawee here. Bottom left-hand corner, you find drawee. This drawee could be an individual or a bank or a company. Could be drawn to anybody. But a check cannot be drawn to anybody. It can be drawn on bank only. Right? Bill of exchange could be drawn to anybody. So if you want to draw a bill of exchange, you just put the word and type bill of exchange and sign and give. Check cannot be done like that. Just take it from that particular bank because it's pre-printed the bank's name. Right? So this is the bill of exchange. There are three parties to bill of exchange, but there are only two parties to check. So that is enough. From that point onwards, I will not talk about checks, but one aspect has to be there. I need to give a little weight on the bill of exchange. I will take a check again for the last time. This is a check of mine. You see Bank of Ceylon check. You must have seen on certain checks on transverse lines the words non-negotiable being there. Have you noticed that? Non-negotiable. So, drawer, when he gives the check to the payee or to somebody, that somebody becomes the transferee. 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 R-E-E-N-D. Drawer invariably becomes the transferor. Transferor. transfer row. The correct pronunciation is transferer. To get the spelling right when you are pronouncing awkwardly, transfer, right? Transfer, transferee. When the check cross non-negotiable, transferee, get it right, right? I will tell again. When the check cross non-negotiable, transferee will not get a better title than transfer. You must have learned this in the lower grades, right? Transferee will not have a better title than transferor. Meaning, like the transferor, transferee cannot go to the bank counters and get it in cash. He will be compelled to put to an account because it's cross non-negotiable. Nevertheless, he can transfer to somebody else, right? So, what is the trust of that? Word non-negotiable doesn't cease the check to be transferred. It's non-negotiable, all right, but you can transfer. But if you find a crossing non-negotiable on a bill of exchange, both negotiability and the transferability ceases off. Right? If you find a crossing on the non-negotiable crossing on the bill of exchange, both transferability and the negotiability cease. So this becomes a done instrument. But if you see a check cross non-negotiable, you lose the better title than the transfer, that's all. Transfer has the title of going over the counter and getting in cash. I don't have that. I had to go through an account. Right? So that is the last thing that I will drag a check in here. Otherwise, we have nothing to do with checks in trade. Right? But in a rush, I said something else. I don't know whether they caught it. Bill of exchange. So we'll sum up a little bit. Bill of exchange could be what you call drawn in two ways. One way to denote is payable on demand. Demand, that is to denote as if to be payable on demand. Such instruments are called sight drafts. Sight drafts. Sight drafts. Or it could be a payable on fixed or future deliverable time, on a postponed date or a deferred date. They are called user's draft. Get the spellings right. It's USANCE, not a dictionary word, so therefore get it right. USANCE, user's draft, and commonly term this in certain textbooks as tenor drafts. Tenor drafts or term drafts. So these two words will come right throughout your session, sight draft. So after that, I will discuss what sight draft is as a refreshment. But then again, these are the two words, common words. So you mustn't hunt for these two words. What these are? Sight draft means you payable on demand. Tenor draft means it could be a deferred payment date, right? Deferred, deferred. RRPD. That's on a future date or postponed date. Right. Now we have about the time to check. It's 5 minutes to 2:30. I will have about 3/4 hours from now. Fine. So I can go to a little bit of an introduction to the process of payment also. Method of payment. And excuse me for a while. It's actually methods of payment. Right. In trade, you have mainly four methods of payment. Four methods of payment, right? One is the open account trading. Open account trading. Open account trading. Open account trading means where you find the buyer and the seller. They have a sales agreement or a contract of sale. That is to they have agreed upon mutually that they will transact business on open account trading. On open account trading. Right? Here, seller in international trade has to perform in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. That is very unique for international trade. You do find this kind of performance or performances in domestic trade. In domestic trade, the seller will part with the goods that he possesses for some time when the buyer buys from him. So in consideration, he gets the money and he passes with the physical portion of the goods. That's the only thing that he finds in domestic trade. But in international trade, seller has to perform in 2 ways. One, he has to part with the goods, like the physical portion of the goods has to be parted with. Right. Meaning, seller has to send the goods across to the buyer's country. Right? And what is the other one? He has to part with the shipping documents also as well. Shipping documents. Now, before going further, we need to understand what these shipping documents are in a nutshell. Right? So, shipping documents or just documents being denoted in trade there are vital 3 documents. These 3 documents is a must document or a vital document to see that trade is moving. One set of documents are called commercial documents. Commercial document. Commercial documents means legally binding documents, right? Legally binding documents where you will find a characteristic of a financial instrument, right? Example for commercial documents, commercial invoice, analytical certificate, inspection certificate, load port survey report, some merchandisers you need to check or inspect when the goods are laden on board the vessel at the port of loading. And once the inspection is done, they give a report called load port survey report. Weight list, packing list, right? Those all comes under commercial documents. The legally binding documents, some documents mentioned in here are issued by competent authorities like load port survey report, and legal certificate cannot just sent by the seller. They have to consult a proper person, competent person. Inspection certificate issued by the competent people again. So they are legally binding documents, but do not have a Characteristics of a financial instrument. Second one, transport documents. Transport documents. Transport document, if it is by sea, you ask for a bill of lading. Bill of lading. Right? Abbreviately, you can write as BL. Bill of lading. Bill of lading. LADING. Bill of lading. It is by sea. If it is by air, you call for an airway bill. If it is by rail or road, you can ask for a rail receipt or a road receipt. In Sri Lanka, rail receipts and the road receipts are not being issued because we are an island. But if you are a landlocked place, then you get a demarcation of frontier. So from country to the other country passes to the land, or by rail, or by air also. Right? So anyway, there's a conveyance of food. Right? That has to be documented. So you have a bill of lading. If it is by sea freight, if it is by air, you have a airway bill. Right? Abbreviately, you can see as AWB. Bill of lading has a big character that we will be studying. A bill of lading as a different chapter. Until now, what you need to understand, bill of lading has a character of a title of the goods. It's title of goods, right? Title of the goods. Then the third set of documents are the insurance policy or the certificate of insurance. Insurance policy is certificate of insurance means it's a marine insurance policy I'm talking about, for marine, not just general insurance or comprehensive cover. It's a marine insurance policy or a certificate of insurance. The main difference between insurance policy and certificate of insurance is insurance policy is an actionable instrument. This is not an actionable instrument. Both are legally binding already, but it's not an actionable instrument. It's just a certificate. You can make an action or make a claim only on the policy. Right. And there's another fourth ancillary document. It actually is not a shipping document, but it's a financial document. Some instances, the buyer calls for a bill of exchange. Bill of exchange. But it is not a shipping document. It is an additional document that they ask, but it is a financial document. So therefore, I will make a asterisk here. You take the asterisk down and say the financial instrument. So you have the commercial documents, the transport documents or the TDs, and the insurance policy IPs. When you put all these three documents together, these are called documents. This is the document that I was talking here. Right? Now here, see, in these documents, you have a transport document also as well. And if it is sea freight, the seller has to part with the title also as well, not totally with the goods. Right? In the documents, you have a bill of lading. Bill of lading has the title of the goods. So the seller has lost both the goods and the title. Right? Good, if you have understood that part, now we go to the mechanics of the open account trading. So we have the buyer and the seller. In the open account trading exists when the buyer is stronger than the seller. When the buyer is stronger than the seller. When I say buyer stronger than seller means buyer can find bundles of sellers at the seller's country. Buyer has more purchasing power than the seller. So therefore, buyer is in a dominant position or a dictating term position, dictator position over the seller. So buyer is stronger. He will dictate terms of the concept of sale. So he will say, I will not pay you. I need to have the goods. I need to have the documents. After that, when I think fit, I will pay you. Right. So the seller, if agreed, sends the goods across, not to the buyer straight away, but to the buyer's country. And the documents, shipping documents, now you know what the shipping documents are? Dispatched to the buyer straight away. But you need to understand here both goods and the documents has to be all rights being transferred. All rights transferred. Right? So seller has to send the goods and the seller will send the documents to buyer. Now the buyer, what the buyer will do? Buyer has the documents. In that document, he has the bill of lading also as well. Right. So he will take the bill of lading, the original bill of lading, to the shipping agent. And surrender the bill of lading. Remember in the shipping documents, when the bill of lading being given by the seller, he has to give the full set of the bill of lading. Usually in 3 originals. So he has 3 originals now. But when he surrenders, he has to surrender only one. Right? He has to surrender only one original. Now I need to tell something else, right? Deviation, but I need to tell you this. If bill of lading, that is called to Act of Bill of Lading of 1855. That's a bit of a peculiar clause in there, which slightly uncommon to our day-to-day other aspects of it, other documents or declarations. Say for instance, I have a birth certificate. I have another abstract of the birth certificate where I have got it certified. One birth certificate wanted by the consulate office for my migration purposes, so I have surrendered. Then all of a sudden I was summoned by the Immigration Department and wanted to surrender my birth certificate. For that matter, perhaps a marriage certificate or they might ask. So I can get that abstract and give to them. When I surrender one birth certificate to the consulate, the retaining birth certificate which is in my closet doesn't become invalid. It's another original. Right? That is the normal way of handling certification declaration forms day-to-day life in general banking. But the bill of lading is not like that. Where the bill of lading is given 3 originals, when you surrender one, rest of the thing what is being retained by us becomes invalid. Right? That is in the Bill of Lading Act. That is why we surrender only one bill of lading. Otherwise, shipping agent will ask them, give all the 3 originals. They know for sure. If one surrender, they cannot use the other 2. It becomes invalid automatically. Right? So once the bill of lading is surrendered, what are the originals be surrendered? Shipping agent will give another value document to the importer called a delivery order. A delivery order. That is order being given to the customs to deliver the cargo to the bearer or to the importer. So the importer has a delivery order now. Delivery order. He has that. And also in the shipping documents, he has a commercial invoice also as well. So he needs 2 copies. One for audit purpose in the customs, other one for the clearing purposes for the customers. So they need 2 copies. So you have 2 copies to originals, copies of commercial invoice. So he will take these 2 now to the customs. When the customs, when they go to customs will give him another form, right? That's called the customs declaration form. Customs declaration form. It is commonly called as CUSDIC. This CUSDIC, I need to mention, there are many features in the CUSDIC, but what is relevant to the open account, I will fill out the main thing. CUSDIC has a lot of features. One thing is, this CUSDIC document has to be dated. Not because it's a CUSDIC. Any declaration, certificates, and a bill of exchange, transport documents and insurance policies in nature has to be dated. Right? If I give a letter, it need not be dated. But if I write a declaration, I have to date. Because it involves the period. If I give an insurance policy, if I am the insurer, if I am insuring you, I have to give from what event date that the insurance is expiring up to when. So it has to be dated. When the bill of exchange being written, you have to date. Right? And certificates has to be dated. Otherwise, it becomes an open-ended certificate. So in nature, since it's a declaration form, it has to be dated. But anyway, CUSDIC has to be dated. Right. Second, they will mention to which bank this particular person has to go to repatriate the monies of the goods. So they will mention the name of the bank. Who will mention? Customs. People's Bank. That is the interaction of the importer. Right. And distribution of the goods has to be stated. Value of the goods has to be stated. Value of the tax that the customs will impose on you for clearing has to be stated there. And finally, importer has to sign. Importer has to sign the CUSDIC, entrusted by the customs officials. Now, this is the CUSDIC form that the importer will possess once being cleared. He pays the customs duty, clearing charges, and clears the consignment. And he has this CUSDIC. CUSDIC is evident that he has cleared the goods. CUSDIC is evident that the goods have come to Sri Lanka. Right? CUSDIC is evidence what type of goods that he has cleared. Right. Now we have this document with him. Now he comes to the bank. He comes to the bank. Now he got the goods. He's enjoying the goods also now. Yeah. Right. He got the shipping documents also, meaning he got the title also. Now he transferred the title and the shipping is delivered, he went to customs and he got the CUSDIC cost and got the clear. And no sense of payment here. Now he thought fit of coming to the bank and make a payment. Right. When he goes to the banker, the bank will check one thing. First of all, the bank will check whether he's coming to the correct bank. Right? Fine. Second one, the most important thing what the bank will check is the date. Not whether he stated, they will check the date. Customer or the importer, when he comes to the bank to make the payment, he has to come within 365 days. Not 1 year, within 365 days from the date of CUSDIC. It is interpreted as from the date of clearing the cargo. That is the import and export control regulation. This applies only to Sri Lanka. That is why I told you not to search goods. Right? Once the open account trading happens, buyer can wait until 365 days before making the payment. In practical scenario, they will not wait for such long time because they have to continue to do business with the seller. So therefore, in a couple of days or one or 2 weeks time, they will get the payment. But still for all, they have the entitlement of waiting for 365 days from the date of custody. Then why the bank is checking the date? He can't come on the 366 day. Right? If he comes on the 360 days and request the bank to make the payment, then bank will tell the customer to obtain approval from the import and export control because they are the people who issue the circular. So you have to go to the issuer and get it approval and come. Right? So you remember this. Now, when the examiner says questions, he will put the questions on based on these only. Everybody know what an open account trading is. But little what do you call these hidden issues, a lot of people or students will not know. Right? Right. A trained practitioner would write, all right, but the others still have a little bit of struggle. Right. A few things we said here. In open account trading, buyer is dominant. Buyer can find enough or more sellers from the seller's country. Buyer has no dictating terms, and the goods and the documents sent by the seller has to be consigned to buyer, no bank involved. And once the documents are sent, buyer will get the documents cleared. For every method of payment, I will not do the clearing part after that. Now you know what they are going to shipping agent and get the delivery order and get the clearance done. Right. That's the same procedure for every method of payment. Right. When then buyer will go to the bank and request the bank to remit the money. What the bank needs, bank needs the invoice again. Bank needs the invoice, obviously, right? So bank wants the invoice, copy of the invoice. Commercial invoice, copy of a commercial invoice. Commercial invoice. Then bank definitely wants the custody, copy of the custody at least. Right? This invoice, commercial invoice will have the disposal instructions of the seller. Usually they have, otherwise the buyer has to supply them. Right? Disposal instructions means seller's name and address and the bank's name and the account number. Right? And the bank will execute the payment under SWIFT payment order. Right? Under SWIFT payment order. Format is MT103. MT103. Message, MT stands for message type 103. In the SWIFT, you have 999 formats, out of which there are 2 payment orders only. There are only 2 payment orders, 103 and 202. 103 denotes a customer transfer, 202 is a financial institution transfer. You cannot use 202 for an open account trading. It's only a 103. That will give the liberty for me to what the state SWIFT to tell you. That's for society, for worldwide, financial, telecommunication. What I stand for? Interbank. Interbank. This is where I get caught. In the MCQ file, this word is written as international. Right. It has to be interbank. So for a worldwide interbank, financial telecommunication, meaning SWIFT, you can chat also. Right? You can chat, you have a chat mode also as well. The format of 999, 199, 499 or chats. Right? You can send free format messages also as well. You shall send a Christmas greeting or season greeting or whatever it is, right? Telecommunication. What is a SWIFT? It comes as a SWIFT alliance. So out of that 999 messages, you have two payment orders, 103 and a 202. 103 could be used only for open account trade. So the bank will execute the payment order and reflect in the funds using the format of MT 103. While stressing this 103, in certain past paper they have asked for SWIFT code source as well. Right. So what we just discussed about the method of payment in open account trading is the most advantageous towards the buyer, right? Least risk for the buyer, and the highest risk for the seller, right? Highest risk for the seller. So the question could be twisted in different ways. Those who have learned the depth of the open account event, they will ask us just a minute question, you might get stuck on, right? So this is the most what you call highest risk to the seller and then highest advantages towards the buyer. Because he gets the goods, he gets the documents before making the payment. And what is the advantage actually? He's not blocking the capital. Right? He's not blocking the capital. He can use the goods, enjoy the goods, and raise the capital and send the money off. Right? But in the long run, if you encourage too much on open account trading, that will have for unlimited want. Will try to lead near into inflation. Right. We took a little bit of time, extra time for that, no? So we can have discuss another method of payment as well. Did I give you the handout of open account trading? No, no. Are you given?
Methods of payment.
Method of payment is not, I have given the grid and all? No, no. Uh-huh. No, no, I had to do it. No, I had to do that. Next time I'll send you the bits of, I need to fine tune a little bit the reason why I did forward. That is just an illustration only, no?
Yes.
So I will send the handout next time, before next time rather, you can get it printed. I advise you once again, please, if try and possible, get it printed and file it accordingly. Right. Now, the next method of payment is the other side of the coin of the open account. It's called the advance payment. Advance payment. That's the other side of the coin of the advance, what you call the open account. In this case, the seller is stronger than the buyer. Seller can find abundance of buyers in the buyer's country. So therefore, seller will dictate or dominant to buyer. Right. So, need to mention one thing with regard to advance payment. The literal meaning and the terminology in trade. Now, this particular word advance, which we have been using as a customary, is a customary usage word. I'll take a small example. If I got a contract, a contractual obligation with the person service provider to commission a gate for me, and the value of the commissioning is say 100,000 rupees. So he will say to me, the contractor, okay, to kick off, buy some material to make the infrastructure ready, give me some money of 25,000 as an advance. So I'll draw my own invoice and say 100,000 commission of advance paid on such as a date for 25, whereas payable on completion of the commissioning, that is 75. I use the word commissioning. Some products are there. You have to fix, you have to run, test, and only to release. For the gate, you will have a commissioning, right? But just imagine if you have install a plant for me, a purification plant, right? So I will have a retention because that has been tested for 6 months to see the heating levels and whether it's working properly. Then only you have a commissioning report, successful report, right? So for that you have different stages for high values, and you make advance payments. So you have made a 25,000 advance payment, right? And if you are using some kind of with the Vajrang interference, you say advance of Dunna, right? I paid an advance of 25,000, right? That is not advance payment in here, right? So it's completely different meaning. The word advance is advance payment because it's a method of payment. Here the advance payment is value of the goods paid in advance. If the value of goods is $40,000, you make the $40,000 in advance. That's what you call advance payment in here in trade, right? Right. Now here you have the same parties, buyer and the seller. So seller will not perform. Now you know what a performance is. He has to sell the goods, he has to sell the documents. He will not do that until he get the money across. So we assume the value of the goods is $1. Right? So the buyer will go to his banker and request the bank to remit money to the seller's bank. Right, for $1. Does the bank do? No. Bank will have to know some kind of a existence of a contract between the buyer to seller. Otherwise, bank cannot just convert to this and send across to. Then the bank will get caught for negligence. Right? Whatever the monies are converted and sent, and goods won't come, there will be issue. So therefore, bank will ask some kind of a document. So buyer can give a document, a pro forma invoice. Pro forma invoice. PRO-FOR in the Latin word. It denotes a form sake. Form sake. Pro forma. You can get the meaning of the pre-form or pro forma. It's a quote. It's a quote, actually. Quotation. Pro forma is not a legally binding document. Right? But don't get the misconception when I say not legally binding. It's not an illegal document. It's not legally binding means cannot be enforceable. It's not an actionable document. Right? So banker, knowing very well that is not legally binding, why bank still insists for a pro forma is because to know whether they have a sales contract between them. Pro forma invoicing they building, in other words, has the seller's name and the address and the buyer's name and the address, goods description, right? Seller's name is there. It's a document, right? And the buyer's name is there. And the goods description is there. Description. And the port of loading and the port of discharge is there. HS code is dotted mainly. HS code. HS code means the classification of the goods is harmonized code. The classification of goods for every good, there's a classification in the sense. Right? For instance, if you want to import a car, this comes under 8703 code. It's motor car, right? So car could be 1000 cc, more than 1500 cc, 2000 cc, like that. That depends on, it will be harmonized further. 87 not 3, 21 not 6 becomes 1,500 to 2,500 cars. Then it comes to 87 not 4 category, passenger coaches. You find different passenger coaches, 25 seater, 45 seater. That could be given by a code. So if the HS code number given, customer cannot hoodwink the bank saying that I am getting a car. Then we will ask why 87 not 4 then. Right? Every bank in the trade division will have a harmonized coding book. Right? So HS code is usually jotted in the pro forma invoice and the Incoterm. Incoterm is a trade term. Trade term is a contract between the buyer and the seller. That means you have 11 Incoterms. We have a separate study for Incoterms actually in your syllabus. We are going to study one by one. There are 11 Incoterms. Very common Incoterm is the CIF. CIF, cost insurance and freight. So if the value of the goods is $10,000, so it will say US dollars 10,000 CIF Karam. But in domestic trade invoices, we don't write like this. It's just say 10,000 rupees. Here we have to say $10,000 CIF Karam. So when you say CIF, buyer knows what are the responsibilities towards the seller and vice versa. Right? We don't know yet because we are not discussing it. So for the moment, you just remember Incoterms are being jotted in the performance. And then disposal instructions of the bank, seller's bank. So once the performer is being given to the bank knows that the sales agreement between them, they are convenient. Then they can execute the payment for the $1 by MT103 again, 103. Right, for $1. Once the payment is received by the seller's bank, the seller's bank will notify the seller, then the seller will start to perform. Right, seller will send the documents, seller will send the goods. Once the monies are realized to the seller's bank. Right. So that is the nutshell of this, what you call advance payment. And I advise you once again for the online students and for you, don't Google search advance payment because there are qualifications in Sri Lanka. So we'll discuss what the qualifications are. Right. If the value of the goods, exceeds 50,000 US dollars or equivalent in any other designated foreign currency, then that means the performer says $51,000. Right? Then the bank will advise the buyer to contact the seller and get a foreign bank guarantee or a standby letter of credit organized. Now, we will not know what a standby letter of credit for the moment, so we leave out for the moment as a sake, just take it down, SBLC, that is standby letter of credit, or he has to organize a foreign bank guarantee for the seller. Seller has to go to his banker and get a foreign bank guarantee. That is applies only if the value of the goods exceeds 50,000 US dollars or any other designated foreign currency. Once the monies have been repatriated, and if the value is more than $6,000, and subsequently if the seller won't sell the goods, then bank can claim on the guarantee. That is why the foreign bank guarantee has come. So it is a good thing that Sri Lanka Central Bank has introduced this that covers some kind of a risk and money laundering and cheating. Right? Right. Foreign bank guarantee. Standby letter of credit also guarantee. What is the type of letter of credit? It's a complex type of letter of credit, so we can discuss later when we discuss about the variant types of letters of credit on the 4th or 5th session. Right. Now the foreign bank guarantee requirement comes only if the monies are repatriated against the buyer's LKI account. If the buyer says, debit my LKI account, current account or whatever it is, debit my account and credit the equivalent amount of $51,000. Only this foreign bank guarantee on the standard of credit requirement comes into play. Customer could have a business foreign currency account for that matter, or a personal foreign currency account. Right? So this is a foreign currency account, right? These are in foreign currency. So if the customer gives the letter of authority to the bank, debit my either of these accounts and send this money across, then even though the value of the goods exceeds $6,000, this requirement of foreign bank guarantee of standard letter of credit recovered won't be there. Right? So you have to get it filtered nice and drastic. So you do not know in which way that you are going to get what you call question. Right? Right. Right. So next method of payment is slightly complex. I will not be able to finish the next method of payment, but I will give a little preview. Why even on the first day that I am doing this type of lengthy thing is covering a vast aspect of areas. You should gauge the perimeter that we have to discuss. So we have only 56 hours, right, to learn and study. So therefore, I have a huge syllabus to cover. That is why I will not relax, right? If I miss a class 1 or 2, even I will catch up on a subsequent age, right? Document collection. As opposed to people, what you call the open account and advance payment, these documents, the so-called shipping documents, cannot be sent to buyer status. This has to be channeled through a bank. The complexity of the document collection is the terminology. The buyer in a document collection is called a drawee. Drawee. Right? Seller of the document collection is called the principal. So when the documents are collated by the principal, the documents have to be given to the principal's bank, which is called the remitting bank. The principal is the person who entrusts his banker to handle the collection order on behalf of him. Remitting bank is the bank whom being entrusted by the principal to handle the collection order. Right. Then the remitting bank will forward the documents to a bank called a collecting bank. Collecting bank. Presuming that collecting bank in the vicinity of the drawee is proximity. When the remitting bank forwards the documents to the collecting bank, they will enclose the covering letter. That covering letter is called not an enclosure of a covering schedule, but it's a collection instruction. Collection instruction. Collection instruction. I have to give a little bit of elaboration on this of all. Doesn't matter, can be taken in here. Now, suppose imagine the fact that your division referring to trade finance division mainly, you say they are working for National Bank, right? National Bank trade division say once that you've got a document not intended to HNB, but actually to see it is HSBC, right? To HSBC document being misordered to HNB counters, trade division counters. So when they at a glance it looks like HNB, but to see it's HSBC. So what the HNB guys would do, they will give a letter, what you call prepare a letter, a covering schedule, and return the documents enlisting all the documents which is attached with that and saying we are returning here with to our complete discharge of activities. Meaning, after that, they will not have any recourse to that document, neither HSBC will have, they are washed their hands off. Right. But HNB will not have, rather ought to tell HSBC how to handle the document. That's none of HSBC's business. If they say that, HSBC will say fly a kite. So HNB is not bothered whether they will shake the documents or keep the documents that preserve or archive. Right? They are not worried. But here, when the repeating bank send the documents the covering data of them, this is not just a mere covering data. They will instruct the recipient bank, the collecting bank, how to handle the documents. So therefore, this is not a mere covering data, but it's a collection instruction. Collection instruction. If the collecting bank finds, now collecting bank is a bank other than the remitting bank. Remitting bank is a bank other than the remitting bank who handles the collection order on behalf of the principal. If the collecting bank finds it difficult to reach the draw V, farther away, geographically or whatever it is, if they are unable to deliver the documents to draw V, on their own accord, they will seek another bank nearby them, which they have received in this bank, and tell that bank to deliver documents to draw V, according to the collection instruction. And if this is a collecting bank, all right again, but this is the bank who delivers the documents to draw V. Therefore, this bank is called the presenting bank. Now you see, where the difficult areas in trade is only the terminal value. Right? Mechanism, when you take and filter, it's not difficult. Right? So this is the presenting bank. So in a structuring answer, if you write remitting bank for presenting bank or for presenting bank for principal, you won't get marks. Right? So what is the conclusion here? Presenting bank is a collecting bank who delivers the documents to a drawing. Collecting bank is a bank other than the remitting bank who has the collection order on behalf of the principal. Remitting bank is the bank whom been entrusted by the principal to handle the collection order. Principal is the person who entrusts his banker, the remitting bank, to handle the collection on his behalf. So these are the parties to a collection order. So that means the document collection, it appears to be governed by a set of rules. Right? A set of rules. That is called the uniform rules for collection. Right? ICC publication number. ICC stands for International Chamber of Commerce. Publication number 522, 1995 edition. So this will be abbreviated very commonly as say URC 522. Even in MC, even in a short paper question, if they ask for the current version, you are expected to write uniform rules for collection, ICC publication number 522, revision 1995. Otherwise, you can say URC 520. You can have 26 articles. You ought to go through all 26 articles. Right. So, just 2 or 3 minutes to 3:15. So we'll stop from here. And next Sunday, we'll discuss about documentary collection in detail and documentary credit. Any clarifications or questions that you have? You all have the people who are in online.
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gayan. That was Gayan, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, Gayan. Gayan, are you a banker? In which bank you are working there?
Yes, I'm working in Sampath Bank,
Ah,
the
very
foreign
good.
currency banking unit, FCB.
Ah, is it? Ah, I see. So you can be useful for me when I try to touch on the foreign currencies with regard to SCB factors. So you must be conversant with regard to Section 79 kind of thing, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Very good, very good. So you have to update me on that. Okay, Gayan, I'll see you all next time.
Thank you, sir.